Welcome back to the channel. As we just saw, we saw a major underdog win this past weekend with Strickland becoming the middleweight champion. And his style, I mean, it looked simple, right? Because he only utilized a couple different strategies. He completely disregarded wrestling, boasted actually. There's very little grappling, and it was just mostly boxing on Strickland's end, and incorporating a couple Muay Thai techniques that helped them keep it at the boxing range that he preferred. Yeah, and we saw Izzy did what Izzy does. He does his flashy stuff, and he didn't really land much, nothing significant that I can think of. I think he did land more significant strikes, but I think they were recording the leg kicks that were checked. Leg kicks are those checked leg kicks are I mean, they're the 50-50. It's an even strike because they suck for both ends because they're going shin to shin. So can't really say that Izzy had any significant advantage with those with Strickland checking the leg kick. And as we saw, Izzy wore most of the damage. Strickland after it seemed pretty normal. So the main thing, it's very similar to the Nate Diaz style of the 1-2s, but kind of the opposite in the stance because Nate likes to stand stop up along. Yeah. Strickland was very upright and had the shoulder roll.
Yeah, and at the same time, he was pretty much. I think he was a little bit lighter on his feet as well because he kind of like, even though he was shoulder rolling, he looked like he still kind of like had like a
Muay Thai stance. Yeah. Because he Strickland did react to a lot of Izzy's feints, but Izzy wasn't able to capitalize because of the shoulder roll taking the defense that Strickland had. And good thing you brought it up because a major thing that I saw in Strickland's last fight is he adapted to the leg kicks because the last guy he fought a Russian, some Magomedov guy who really destroyed his leg, and Strickland really initially had trouble with the leg kicks against Magomedov. But in this one we saw him standing straight up like he usually does, but this time he was cross checking on both ends, so it helped them reduce the amount of labor of checking irregular. He was checking inside, and he was able to plant again and do from here his 1-2s. So one major thing that he was checking is his kicks on both ends because Izzy was standing. He was switching stance pretty often. Strickland stayed orthodox here, and so he was upright, which is kind of awkward for me to show you guys, but he's upright here, kind of a shoulder roll, stands here, and his defense, he was biting a lot, but nothing really got through. And like he said, he was using kind of like the shield of his leg to cover a lot of the flashiness and then the shoulder roll up here.
I think that overall, I mean, the shoulder roll itself was also kind of a weird technique to kind of see in MMA.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people forget that it's a defensive technique, and overall, also the speed you gotta have to actually work off of the shoulder. Especially with Muay Thai stance. Like, if we're being completely honest, your lead hand has to be really fast, right? His 1-2 had to be very fast. So you could tell that Sean Strickland was very well conditioned because the 1-2 now, instead of coming from right here, it comes from down here. Boom,
different angle.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a different angle. You saw with Izzy, he threw a lot of, like he always does, looping hooks. So instead of kind of coming shorter, the distance between his hook and his opponent is very wide here. And so what Strickland did is just cut off all that space and just went straight down this way. And so what we saw him do with the jab, like you said, coming from down here instead of up here, which you can see him coming easier. Yeah, not easy, but easier compared to down here where so you have to be aware. And also one thing that we saw a lot was, again, untraditional is Strickland would lead with his cross. So instead of setting it up, he would just throw it here because he's right here standing straight up and he's walking him down. He would just throw it that way, and we saw him he dropped him with the straight cross. Yeah, because like I mentioned earlier, Izzy, I forget if he was southpaw. I think he was a southpaw. Either way, he was throwing kind of this hook right here, which he does all the time, and he knocked out Whitaker like this, and he hurt Gaston like this. He throws this really wide hook, which lands often because he has the range. But in this case, Strickland, he was against the the fence, so his distance, his range was limited because he couldn't back up and commit to like the counter. So he was on the cage, back to the cage, and he kind of threw this here, which being on the cage is very significant because obviously it's something holding you back from moving backwards. So what he wanted to do is kind of come right here, but he was stuck on the cage, and I'll mention why he was there a little later. But we saw Strickland, Izzy go wide, and what did Strickland do? Straight cross, and we saw he almost got finished in the very first round.
Yeah, I think another thing that you also got to take into consideration is that Strickland actually trained with Israel's arch nemesis. And I know you're not on social media, bro, but there's actually a clip going around right now where Alex is showing him how to throw a right hand after a hook. Yeah, exactly. The cross after a hook. Yeah, exactly.
Bro. Oh yeah.
And there's like you can see him kind of like maneuver Sean Strickland's hand, and it's the same thing. Like the same hook that Izzy threw was exactly the same punch that they countered it with. So. Yeah, man. Like, also you got to take into consideration. I mean, you kind of have to give Sean Strickland props. You know, he goes to the guy that kicked his ass and picked up, a little bit more Muay Thai, counter punching, striking knowledge, right? So overall, when he came into this fight, I think he probably had one of the best game plans, bro, because of the fact that like he went with the guy that had already beat him and beat Izzy twice.
Twice, yeah, three times.
Three times,
yeah, three times. 3-1. And going back to being on the cage. So once you're on the cage, you're limited to going either front or side. Right, you can't go back anymore, which Izzy likes to kind of lean back a lot, and his space was limited. And what we saw with Strickland, he threw a lot of teep kicks. So his stance is here. So he checked a lot. He also threw a lot of teep kicks that kind of pushed Izzy to the cage. And as we saw, the most significant punch of the night was on the cage. And so it's kind of a small technique that kind of helped them incorporate the bigger picture, which was his 1-2 really. His 1-2 was like what's bread and butter, and he used like the checks, the inside checks, which are pretty hard to do, and the teeps that help to help him get on the cage. So to kind of recap a little bit, the checks helped him stay standing and reduce the damage on his leg because his last fight his leg got chewed up. And two, Strickland used the teeps to keep him on the cage because in the middle of the cage, Izzy has an advantage because he can move all around, and Strickland was able to put it on him with the 1-2s mainly, and he throws his hooks are also untraditional. He kind of hits with the big two knuckles right here. He kind of does these wide hooks too, but not as wide as Izzy, but that's kind of separate. But his 1-2s were like the main part, and the 1-2 like what got him the win here, and he throw jab, he throw up the jab and throw cross. And he's very fast, and because I mean he's here, yeah, he's here, and also he knew it was going to be like a striking match, so he didn't have to worry about like getting taken down or sprawling on a takedown. So he was able to commit to those punches, and he's not known for having power. He's known for volume, kind of like the Nate Diaz style. But I mean that he had power that day. He almost finished him, and those hooks at the end of the first round where we thought that he's gonna finish. Yeah, it was crazy. So the 1-2s are what got him to win, and then there's like some small, minute like Muay Thai details that I'm sure he got from Alex Pereira. Yeah, because those checks they're not easy to do, especially against a seasoned striker like Izzy. So I think Strickland has his. He might have a rematch with Izzy. He has a couple other contenders out there that want that fight. But as of now, nothing's been confirmed because it just happened. So we'll see if Sean Strickland can implement this style against other, maybe a wrestler or something like that. So we'll see how Strickland trains for his next fight, and I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of 1-2s and checks. So yeah, that's gonna be it. It's a short, simple video. Again, this is probably going to the fight breakdown, Muay Thai journal, or whatever. So yeah, whatever the title is, that's what it is. Everything you need to know is in the description. So yeah, thank you.